Guys, my name is Neil, the 604 Atheist, and you are watching another edition of Deconversion Stories. And today I have with me Obaid. Is that how it's pronounced? Obaid?
Yep.
And Omer is the last name, correct?
Yes, correct.
All right, guys, and I have links to all of his relevant stuff down below, the Twitter, the blog post, and also his YouTube channel. And he's got under 100 subs, and I find that crazy because he's got some really good content on there. So go check it out and go and sub to him, all right? So because he needs to have more attention, definitely. Anyways, Obaid, what I do here is I talk to people about their reasons and their journey from leaving their beliefs behind. So why don't you take us back to sort of the beginning and when you kind of realized that what you were taught or indoctrinated into was kind of a fallacious thing. And yeah, we're on live now. Yeah. So
well, like I said, thanks a lot for having me on.
Yeah, no problem, man.
Yeah. So So basically, okay, I was born in India. My family moved to Canada in the end of 75. I was 6.
Okay.
I was always inquisitive. I mean, I think I drove my parents crazier than either of my siblings because I'd ask questions about everything. And I like literally question anything. And just, and then around the age of 11, that's when we started getting kind of like a general science class in school. You know, nothing in depth, but just for like middle school and high school, right? And that was also the year the original Cosmos came out with Carl Sagan. Now,
yeah.
The way Sagan talked about the scientific method, I mean, he gave you some facts, but he didn't overwhelm you with facts. He talked about curiosity, the way to look at stuff, ask for evidence, and that really, I mean, that for me, that really struck a chord, and that really resonated with, you know, the way I already was. So then, I mean, in school that year, we learned that in, 5 billion years or so, our sun's gonna, burn everything away. It's not gonna go nova, but it's gonna die out and it's gonna burn away, and then that'll be it.
I think it goes red giant or something, and then it fades away or something.
Match up. Yeah, and then it'll shrink back down. I guess it'll be a neutron star or something because it's too small to be a black hole, right?
Yeah.
So it'll compress down to something. And then I said, well, that doesn't jive with, Day of Judgment, like what you guys told me. So something's not right here. Mm-hmm. And they were trying to say, well, it's just the same thing, this and that. And it just didn't make sense. And then it was just little by little, like going through, basic high school science classes, like biology and chemistry and physics, and talking about the scientific method, talking about getting evidence and evidence for things you say. Mm-hmm. And on a donkey, depending on who you believe, it's got a face of a man with a peacock tail or whatever. Mm-hmm. It just doesn't sound credible. Right. And by about 16, I was like, no, I can't believe this. Then, I mean, I kept it to myself till about 22, and that's when I told my folks. And it wasn't that bad. I mean, I'm lucky, luckier than most. I didn't have like that bad an experience. My parents were already fairly open, and they knew something was kind of up. But yeah, right. I mean, still there was a lot of yelling and screaming and crying and acrimony and back and forth, and it took a couple of days, but came to some sort of an agreement, and it's been okay since. I mean, I've had some like really distant relatives who found out after the advent of social media that, I'd left, and they'd send me a message saying, well, I'm never going to talk to you again. It's like, fine. That was the first message you ever sent me. So yeah. Thank you very much.
Nothing's going to change, I guess. Right.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, that was pretty much it. It was just, I liked science. I liked reason. It made, maybe I was like the way Pascal described people in his wager, like, those that were so made that they could not believe. Maybe I was, so made that I couldn't believe. I don't know.
Yeah, it's possible. Mm-hmm. I mean, I guess with the relatives that said that they weren't going to talk to you anymore, did you at least, ask them, am I still going to get birthday cards with cash in them or stuff like that?
No, but I mean, like I said, if that's the first message you're sending someone, like, what's the point? Just don't bother.
Yeah, exactly.
Really, like, I honestly couldn't care less one way or the other, but I mean, come on.
Had you ever even met these people?
No, no. Right. You wouldn't necessarily even call them relations, but like they're really, really distant. I mean, it's
Okay.
Third cousins type of thing, right? Like, huh? Like, do I really care? Like, I've never met you. I don't know you. I didn't even really know you existed until you told me this. So, I mention it because it's funny because I'm like, I'm not going to lose sleep over it. I don't understand that. Like, there's a lot of these things that I don't understand. I'll give you an example. Okay. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Like every single time, if I just say Muhammad, I can almost see their lips moving, going, peace be upon him. And it's like, okay, it's like you're introducing me to Mr. Peace be upon him. Or let's say you're in a debate, right? In an official debate, you speak for 10 minutes, they speak for 10 minutes, blah, 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 blah. Every time you say that, you're wasting a couple of seconds. So, I mean, aren't you just wasting time? Like I said, it sounds like a very silly thing, and it is. But it's just, there's some hadith somewhere that you have to say that. And it just, I don't know, man. It's just like a formula, right? It's, and even like with myself, sorry, shut me up because I ramble, right? So please.
Oh, no. Please do.
Shut me up at any point. Okay. I was born in India. Both my parents were born in India. My mom grew up in Karachi. Neither of them spoke Arabic. I don't speak Arabic. My family does have Arabic origins going back about 5 generations. Okay. But so what they knew of the religion and the Quran and all that was what was told to them. And same thing with me, right? It wasn't until I was about 25 when I read it in English and I was like, okay, this is way worse than I thought. And like, but so that's a problem. Like, there's this peace be upon him. It's rote memorization. It's like a little charm, or you just say it like that. It's, like the, and then you have to go like that. It's just that. It's kind of ludicrous. And like I said, it's to me, it's those little things that are more pernicious than, okay, terrorism is awful. ISIS is awful. Like, I'm not going to get an argument with you there. And I've talked about that ad nauseum. But those little day-to-day things that control you, if you're really strict, you have to walk into your house with your right foot. In every room of your house, you have to walk in with your right foot, except for the washroom. You got to walk in with your left foot. I mean,
what's that?
I don't know. I don't know, man. It's just because you have 2 angels on your shoulders, one on the right shoulder that marks down all your good deeds, one on the left shoulder that marks down all your bad. So the left is associated with bad. And the washroom is unclean. I don't know. It's like I said, it's these little peculiarities, like strict Judaism. If a meat fork touches a dairy, or dairy spoon touches a meat plate, the 2 of them have to be buried for 2 weeks to make them kosher again. I mean, okay.
I grew up Jewish,
so I mean, okay, like, that makes as much sense as walk into the washroom with your left foot. Like,
I know.
Okay, I mean,
they have 2 kitchens for fuck's sake. A dairy kitchen and a meat kitchen.
Yeah, but like I said, it's those little things. Like, the big things are horrible. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not going to defend them in any way, but it's those little things that really grind you down day to day that I think should be talked about more. It's those, those little day-to-day things. I think that's what makes it bad, because it's, the big things control you and they control, but these little day-to-day things control your life in such a way that, yes, terrorism is bad and all that stuff is bad. And like, but like, if you're a woman, if you have to wear the hijab or the niqab, like, if it's that bad, like, that's controlling quite a bit. It's not as bad for men, but there are certain things like, don't wear shorts. I mean, it's silly. Like, you have to dress modestly to some extent, but you see them, they don't. And it's just like, but yeah, it's who you can talk to, who you can shake hands with, who you can, who you're able to converse with alone. It's just like, how do you keep all that straight?
Well, I say it's probably really hard to do that. Because you're constantly have like a checklist in your head or something going on.
I mean, it's I see it every now and then, like especially around the holidays, the 2 Eids, because you greet people and you hug them, and it's a list of who you're allowed to and who you aren't, and that's all based on who you're allowed to marry and sleep with.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're allowed to marry and sleep, it can be your aunt or your uncle.
Oh, fuck.
You can't be alone with them. You can't hug. I mean, like you can't shake hands with them. Like obviously this is dependent on the family, the person, how strict they are, how much they believe this. And there's another thing that doesn't really get talked about a lot, and it's just okay. Like my family was Sunni, and honestly, before I came to North America, and I guess before really it was about around 1980 when the first Intifada happened,
Mm-hmm.
and you started hearing a lot about Shia terrorism, and also that started coming out of Iran as well. That I knew that there was a difference between Sunni and Shia. Like from a South Asian perspective, it was like everyone around me was apparently Sunni, but like it wasn't something that was talked about. It wasn't something that was discussed. So for me, finding that out at one point, like for me, was like, okay, we're all Muslims. I didn't know that there was divisions within the religion, and again, that goes back to not speaking Arabic. People don't know.
Sure. Yeah, right.
So when you talk about Islam, you have to keep a lot of that in mind. It's like you can talk about Christianity, and there's certain things that everything have, like you have to believe that Jesus died on the cross and was resurrected for your sins, and ascended to heaven 40 days later, was resurrected 3 days later. You have to accept that, right? So there's certain things that all Muslims have to accept, but then there's all those little divisions. So the biggest is Shia and Sunni. Then you have in Pakistan and parts of India and stuff, you have the Ahmadis, which you kind of look at them like Mormons in the way that they came out in the 1800s. It was a new prophet who said, I've come to not bring you new revelations, but new interpretations of the law of those revelations. And it's like Muhammad was the last prophet that brought the law. I am the latest prophet that's bringing you the interpretation of that law. And so there's all that. I mean, there's the Sufism. And then there's schools of thought within Sunni Islam. There's and also within Shia, right? So there's 4 schools of thought. They call them madhabs. I never remember all the names. There's like Hanafi, Shafi, Maliki, and then there's one other.
Mm-hmm.
So there's this kind of stuff. So they're all either more strident or a little bit more laid back than all the others. So I think there's a huge disservice done, and I'm partly to blame. And it's not like I had any malice or anything, but I just keep talking about it like, okay, it's not a whole. And I think like this has been a disservice, so that when we're talking about some of the extremist stuff, like bad things, people don't quite understand where this is coming from. So if there's as happened in Pakistan, there was a wedding party that was blown up, and then as they're waiting at the one hospital in town, and as the victims are coming in, they're blowing them up again. Mm-hmm. Right. And they don't realize I think that was a Shia wedding, and it was Sunni people who did it. So there is it wasn't just Muslims killing Muslims. It was Sunni killing Shia because they don't think Shia are real Muslims.
Right.
There's a lot of that to it that needs to be talked about.
Yeah, I agree. I always find it funny because I found the same thing within the Jewish religion as well, where the ultra religious or the ultra orthodox would consider all the rest of them, like the conservatives and reforms, all just not proper Jews, right? Because they didn't have 2 kitchens, they didn't have whatever.
Yeah, they didn't keep the covenant, right?
That's right, exactly.
Yeah, and I mean, okay, so let's take the terms Islamist and Islamism. We've got a huge problem with those terms. I think Majid Nawaz did a huge disservice when he popularized those terms and brought them back into the lexicon. Mm-hmm. Okay, so Islamist is supposed to mean anyone who wants to use politics or who wants to put Islam supreme. Majid was talking about it. He said, okay, that's by the means of politics, and then jihadism and terrorism is by the means of violence. So I could kind of, in a way, accept that a little bit, but it does nothing, because a group like the Muslim Brotherhood and a group like the Tablighi Jamaat would both fall under Islamists. Now, the Muslim Brotherhood and the Tablighi Jamaat are willing to do violence, but for the most part, they use politics. But the Tablighi Jamaat work like evangelical Christians. So they go out and evangelize, but they also evangelize more to Muslims to make them better Muslims. Whereas the Muslim Brotherhood would be more like the Christian right in the States, like a political organization using politics and having their members in seats of politics to change policy for their benefit, right?
Right.
So now, because all this stuff, no one really cared about this stuff really until 9/11. So if after 9/11, instead of doing this dancing around of Islamist and Islamism and all this other bullshit, okay, you just came out and said, okay, these are Muslim theocrats. Everyone knows what a theocrat is. If you explained it and if you kind of gave analogies like, okay, the Tablighi Jamaat, consider them like evangelicals, and how the evangelicals work, that's how the Tablighi Jamaat will work. And you can explain the doctrines of Islam. I mean, that in itself is not that hard. Like, I mean, the Dominion Christians in the United States, the guys who want to bring back the laws of the Ten Commandments, right? Like, you don't call them Christianists, or the ultra-Orthodox Jews in Israel that, are thinking, well, should we consider the Palestinians as Amalekites? You don't call them Judaismists. I mean, they're no, but I mean, like they're it's political Judaism, it's political Christianity. Why are you giving Islam this special treatment? Why are you just making up these words and then trying to define them and trying to muddy up the waters when, okay, these are Muslim theocrats? Like,
well, who coined the terms originally?
Okay, Islamism has been around since the 1600s, and it was like Islamos or something like that. I'm pronouncing it badly. By about the 1800s, then later became Islamism. Then by about the 1800s, it just stopped being used, and they just started using Islam. And then in the about 79 or 80, a French academic wanted to bring it back. It never went anywhere. Then after 9/11, they started using it again. And then Majid Nawaz, unfortunately, like I said, he was the one who popularized it. There was someone who used it before him. I can't remember who it was, but then it was Majid who really got that thing going. And it's being used by bad actors. It's being used by someone I consider a bad actor is Imam Tawibi.
Okay.
And he was kind of implying that only Sunnis could be Islamists and Shias couldn't. I'm like, well, the Ayatollahs want to put Islam supreme on anything, so that fits the definition. And then you hear things like in Pakistan, right after Asia Bibi, her verdict was overturned, but she wasn't being released, and they were judging blasphemy again. So a lot of people were like, oh, the Islamist government in Pakistan is looking at blasphemy laws. It's like, no, it's the Islamic government of Pakistan. It's the Islamic Republic of Pakistan. It's not the Islamist. They're looking at it Islamically. They're not looking at it Islamistically. Okay. Let's stop giving cover. Let's talk about the actual issue. And there's some people who want reform Islam, and it's not. It's like, well, that's not the Islam I follow. I'm like, that's fine, but it is Islam. You can't say it isn't. You can't say it's something else.
Right.
And why twist yourself into all these little contorted things? And maybe I'm just screaming in the wilderness, and it's way too late now, because maybe it is. I don't know, but I just think, and I'm not saying you're not allowed to say them or whatever, but I just don't think there's any need for them. And I wish people would actually address the problem as it is instead of using these cutesy words.
Yes. Are you seeing the chat at all a bit?
Nope. Sorry, I had it on the wrong thing.
You should be able to actually go up to live comments.
Well, I just see where it says live comments. Yeah, I just clicked on that.
Yep, and we have some people in there, and Wonder Lady is just singing your song right now.
Yeah, well, phase great.
And Beach Price is here, and someone named Heidi who says you're wrong about something, I guess. I'm not sure.
I don't know. Whatever. I don't know what I'm wrong about. I mean, please tell me. Like, whatever. If she thinks I'm wrong about something, let me know. And
for sure. You can hash that out for sure. Yeah, I always encourage the people in the chat to ask questions if they have any, for sure. So you were saying you moved here when you were 6, and that was in 75, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds like we're fairly close in age, man.
Yeah, I'm going to be 50 in what are we today? The 30th? So yeah, I'll be 50 in 16 days, 17 days, something like that.
Oh, you're an October kid too?
Yep.
I'm on the 20th. I'll be 53 though.
Okay.
Yeah. We're going to have to get you a t-shirt when you hit your 50s, man. This one here that I kind of wear all the time. Oop, there we go. I'm not like most teens. I'm in my 50s.
Well, okay, look, I mean, look at, like, I don't know if you can see this. I'll bring my camera up.
Oh, Annie? Is that
Yeah,
Annie?
yeah, but she's,
Hanging herself.
yeah, and look at the note.
Sun didn't come out. That is awesome. I don't think I've ever seen that before. That is great. That's it. It's over.
Yeah, whatever, right? Like, it's, okay, because I was working overseas, right? I was working on military bases, and the laundries there just chew through whatever you wear. And so I was ordering these things online because they were cheap, and they're just stupid, but I just found them funny. I mean, like, they're just dumb, but like, whatever. They were like $15.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, wear those. I don't care if it gets ruined. I'm, like, anything else, I was like, it didn't matter. It just, the laundries there were just so harsh that just eat through anything, man.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, really? Oh, shit. Well, we got in-suite laundry, and we use this really, I don't know. My roommate's allergic to perfume stuff, so she buys this fancy schmancy detergent that's not that harsh, I guess. So all my stuff I wash everything in cold.
Well, okay, now that I'm back, like, I'm not over there anymore. Like, I just use my own laundry. But like I said, while I was over there, I was just buying all these things. So I just keep buying them now because I just find them funny. Because it's like anything. You start buying something once, and they keep sending you stuff. Here, look at this now, and I'm just like stupid idiot going, yeah, that's funny. I'll buy it.
Oh, you mean like the algorithms on like Facebook or something?
Oh no, or they'll just send me an email saying, oh yeah, here's our new T-shirt. Do you like it?
Right. Yeah, I find I do that same thing. I'll grab something online, and then all of a sudden, all the algorithms have changed, and I'm being shown. Like, I bought my new computer here, the Alienware, and now they're showing me all this Alienware crap all over the place. And when I buy a T-shirt, same thing happens.
Okay, went off a little weird tangent, but okay, since we're talking about algorithms and advertising, I don't know if you heard about what they were doing in South Korea. It was hilarious. I believe it was South Korea. Dunkin' Donuts worked with the transit authority there so that when the buses came to a stop that had a Dunkin' Donuts, just like 10 seconds before the door opened up, an air freshener would release a spray that smelled like Dunkin' Donuts coffee, and there'd be a Dunkin' Donuts at the stop.
Wow.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of funny.
That's hitting below the belt, man.
Yeah, and this was just recently, right? This was this year sometime when they did it. It was just, I thought it was brilliant. It's kind of like, it's a little evil, but it's brilliant, right?
It kind of makes me want a Tim Hortons air freshener now. You're in Toronto, right? Montreal, right? Oh, so you're on the other side of the country. I'm on the West Coast. So.
Yeah. Well, I used to live in. I lived in the Lower Mainland from 95 to 2001, or just the start of 2001.
Wow, really? We were neighbors then.
Yep.
This is where I grew up. So, well, born in Vancouver, and then moved into Richmond at the age of 3. So.
I lived in Richmond for a while too.
Oh, cool.
I mean, you're one of the, like, okay, that's one thing I noticed when I was out there. It's like very few people in Vancouver are from Vancouver.
That's right. I wonder if we ever went to like the same parties and shit back in those times.
Probably, man. Like, I used to hang out with a lot of reprobates.
Hey, wait a minute.
But yeah, no, okay.
Like, oh no, it's okay. I'm a reprobate. It's okay. Yeah. I got a question for you. Blood donor?
Yes, I am. Okay, I haven't been for a few years, and I don't think I can again. I got to check. But when I was working overseas, I was getting all kinds of inoculations, and I wasn't allowed for a certain amount of time because of that. But I used to donate all the time. Also, I mean, I've got AB negative, so it's a little rare.
Yes, it is.
So when I can, I do donate. But I had a kidney removed a couple of years ago, and there was a tumor in the kidney. So I'm not sure because of that if I can or not anymore.
Was it cancerous?
Yeah.
They make you wait. Like my friend Terry, who I started. Wow, Theremin Trees just released a new video. That's rare. My dad was BC's highest donor. He did something like 532 donations in his lifetime before he got cancer. Okay. So I started a Partners for Life group when he passed away. And I had a bunch of people in there. My friend Terry, who used to go with me, we'd go together all the time. Now I go with my friend Randolph. We would go and we'd donate every, 56 days like they do here in Canada. And I'm almost at 50 now. but he got cancer, and they told him he has to stop. And they say, I think it's 5 years, and once you've cleared after 5 years, you can go back to donating. So you might have a couple of years before you can go back.
Well, no, I like you. This year was the 5th year, and I just had like all my last tests and everything, and I got like the complete all clear. So, okay, yeah. And like I said, I was gonna have to check in on that because I wasn't sure, right? Because I knew for a while I couldn't.
Okay.
So I'm gonna check in on that. But yeah, I used to do it like at least 3 times a year. I'd go. And I mean,
would you, if you can and you're able to donate again, would you become a member of my group? Because it's Canada wide.
Sure.
So that would add to the numbers, right? And we do over 500 donations every year as a group.
Cool.
I'm the first guy, single started Partners for Life group in Canada that reaches those numbers. So that's
oh, for sure. I saw something up here. I just wanted to touch on because someone asked this, and I got to go back and find it.
Sure.
It was about Islamophobia versus anti-Muslim bigotry. Now, yeah, it's anti-Muslim bigotry. Islamophobia is just
it's a silly term, if you ask me.
Exactly. It serves no purpose. Again, that's why I'm opposed to like the Islamist and the Islamism. But I mean, Islamophobia as well, right? That's again, if you look back to where it started, because a lot of people say, oh, yeah, it started by the Muslim Brotherhood. And like, no, it wasn't. There was 2 French academics. One of them was Algerian or Moroccan. He was North African anyways. They were studying in France, and they came out with the term Islamophobia. And then that was against anything Islamic, right? It wasn't even just a criticism of the doctrine. Now, recently, the British government has this 72 or 75 page document on what it means. And it's basically implying that criticism, saying Islamic terrorism is Islamophobia. I mean, I know in the U.S. Congress, they wanted to pass something like that. Ontario is looking at something like that. I'm really afraid what our government's going to do, because I mean, M103, I know it's a motion, I know it's non-binding, but the report that came out after it, again, didn't define Islamophobia. It's very loose. Trudeau has no love for free speech, and I'm sorry, but Iqra Khalid, she's the one who engineered M103. She was an Islamist supporter. If you look back to stuff when she was in university, some anti-Semitic stuff, whatever, I just don't trust her as well.
I don't either.
So I don't know what, like, I'm worried that we might be seeing new a secular form of blasphemy laws coming in, because they're already taking the old blasphemy laws out, like technically the religious ones, but it's like a secular one. There's a really good book by Jonathan Rauch. I'm not sure how you pronounce his last name. It's Rauch, called Kindly Inquisitors. And he talked about the Salman Rushdie thing, but he also talked about the religious right. And then he talked about what he called the humanitarian threat to liberal science. So liberal science, he was equating as the values of the Enlightenment, science, reason, logic, the dialectic, discussion, free speech, like all that. And so he said, I mean, he's giving you cases from the schools in the 90s, and it could be right now. And it's like, this speaker has to be banned because he's racist, right? And he's like, and so it's a humanitarian threat to liberal science. In an effort to do good, you're doing a lot of harm, and especially to the people you want to help. I mean, okay, look at today, like Yasmin Mohammed, Armin Navabi, and the Secular Jihadist podcast. Those 3 Twitter accounts were suspended. I think Yasmin's got hers back. I don't know about the other 2 yet. I don't think they have.
I saw that. I think she did.
Yeah, and I mean that's because there were either some people who were, extreme on the progressive side, or so-called progressive side. I mean, the only thing they're progressing towards is authoritarianism. But they either reported them because they thought they were too offensive or something, or it was, Muslims who were offended. And I mean, it's kind of funny because today is Blasphemy Day, and Twitter enforces their own blasphemy laws. Good on you.
Yeah, I don't get that. I really don't get that. Like, who are they to decide what's blasphemy and what isn't, anyways?
Yeah, but that's just it. Okay, that's what it comes down to, and that's what I've kind of been trying to like change my perspective on, and I'm guilty of all this. It's the free speech debate. Okay, so I went away. I went away in 2002. I got back in 2014. I worked in war zones and disaster areas, and then at the end of 2014, I was living 4 years up in northern Canada, and end of last year. So I came back in 2014. I'm like, the world's gone insane. I'm trying to figure out what's happened, right? So like, the free speech debate, and I took it up, and it's not, it's not that I took it up. It's just I hadn't thought about it until I wrote a paper on it back in university, right? We got free speech. Like, what are you talking about? But then I was making the defense. A lot of people are making the defense from the side of the speaker, or you're taking away their rights to speak. And yes, you are, and that's very important. I'm not going to deny that. But the more important right, and the thing that's more like the most grievous part of denying someone their right to speak is, so like, I don't care who it is. I really don't. If there's unless that person is calling for violence or, like something like that, and it has to be like the way the First Amendment words it, an imminent and immediate threat of violence. Okay, barring that, forget it. They can speak their opinion. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's Richard Spencer. I don't give a rat's ass. Okay. If they were invited and they came to speak, and people are going to hear them speak, you canceling that, you blocking it. Yes, you violated his rights to speak. But you violated the rights of the audience to listen. You violated the rights of the audience to choose what they can listen to and decide for themselves. Okay, that is the most important part of the free speech debate. Okay, so Milton's quote: "Give me the liberty to utter, to know, to utter, and to argue according to conscience."
Right.
Your uttering and your argumentation is just noise. Okay, the liberty to know is the most important liberty, and that's up to you to decide. And that's the free speech debate. I don't give a rat's ass what you're offended by. I don't care if you're offended by "baby, it's cold outside." Go fuck yourself. Right. Sorry, I don't know if I can swear.
Fly away with it. I always say, offense is usually offense is taken, not usually given.
But I mean, like I said, that's it might be according to your worldview that it's offensive and it's rape culture or whatever. Frankly, I didn't hear the song until all this stuff happened. Yeah, whatever, you want to listen to it, listen to it. I don't care one way or the other. It's not going to change the price of beer. Like, honestly,
good thing.
But I mean, like, so, but what gives you the right to decide for me that it's not appropriate for me? Like, screw you. Like, I mean, like, that's where I'm taking my argumentation from to that. It's like, that's what it's got to be defended more than anything else. And I'll defend that for anyone. I don't care. Like, I stood up for the rights of Linda Sarsour to go speak in Winnipeg because she was being denied, and I thought that was stupid. I can't stand Linda Sarsour. I think she's a vile human being, but whatever. She got the right to say her piece.
Absolutely. And I'll stand up for anyone's right to speak. Even if they're fucking Nazis, they still have a right to speak. And air their grievances or whatever the fuck it is they want to do. Now, you got to remember that even if you have that right to express your views, you are also responsible for everything you say. So expect something coming back to you if it's something that is egregious or something.
Okay. Yes, you have like okay, let's take something really silly. All right. Pineapple on pizza. I'm completely opposed to that. All right. Now, this is a very silly argument, but let's just say
interview's over.
Let's just start saying that and anyone who wants pineapple on pizza should be killed and stuff like that, right? Like, no, okay, that's wrong. Okay, but that's wrong, and I'm not calling for a violent act, and that should be stopped. But now, if I say, okay, I want to make a law where we're going to put people in prison for that, now I should be, I have the right to argue my case, and you have the right to argue yours, and that argumentation shouldn't be stopped. Now, and that's all it's about. Like, you and I could talk. I mean, I think we can have a discussion about just about anything, right? We should be able to. And there's some things it's going to be intractable. Like, if you can't, like, if you say racism is privilege and power, and I say no, racism is just you discriminating on someone based on their race. and we can't come to an agreement on that, the discussion is not going to go anywhere. So unless we can say, okay, let's talk about we'll talk about yours as systemic racism, and come to that sort of agreement, the conversation can then move forward, right? So, like, we got to start working on these kind of things, and we have to be able, like, because I hear it from, whatever, schlock. There's no good terms anymore, man. Like, the social justice left or the woke or whatever. And then the idiots on the other side, the red pilled.
Yeah.
I mean, they're the exact same thing, right? Like, I don't see much difference between a Candace Owens and what's her face, Alexandria Cortez. Like, I don't.
Sure.
They're as far as I'm concerned, they're both morons, and they're both unprincipled, and the principles they have, I don't agree with. I think they're antithetical to the values of the Enlightenment. So I
would agree, sure.
And so, I mean, like, sorry, I'm just going on, but like, let's figure out what we want to defend. Let's find the best arguments for them, and let's go forward. Like, if you want to defend like banning and cancel culture and your own blasphemy laws, great. But let's argue that out. Let's hash that out, and let's see which is the better system.
Cancel culture. That's kind of a new one for me. I'm not even sure exactly what that is even.
Okay, cancel culture is like ban whatever, like ban the boycott baby off SNL because he made an Asian joke. Okay, like just canceling people, like no platforming them, just whatever, like just.
I gotcha.
Like it's a bit much, and then when it's someone on your side, you get all up in arms. Oh my God, how did this happen? How can they do that? He's such a good person, but then it's someone you don't like, and it's like, nope, that's it. They got to go. No.
Yeah.
Enough.
That's just a form of extremism, really, if you think about it.
Yeah, but that's how we're working now, and everyone's afraid of it. I mean,
if everyone's afraid of it, why are we doing it?
but that's just but that's. They're afraid to speak out. They're afraid.
No, fuck, okay. I'm not.
No, but okay, like there's very few people who aren't, and when you see someone big losing their job and stuff like that. So the average person who doesn't says something stupid online.
Oh, you kind of froze on me.
Very stupid or whatever, like, but this call out thing, finding out where they work, and dogpile their side. Oh, look, these leftist mobs, right? Oh, these leftist mobs are mobbing on everyone on Twitter, and then the same point they'll put out, well, I'm just following this tweet to see what kind of ratio it's going to get. I wonder what the ratio is going to be. I'm sure it's going to get ratio to hell. I'm like, you're doing the exact same thing, asshole. Like, if you don't like Twitter mobs, don't point something out for the ratio. You don't want to listen to a song, turn the radio station. You don't want to watch South Park, turn off the TV, watch something else. You don't want to read something, don't pick it up.
Yep.
But don't deny that right to other people.
That's right. I'm with you 100%, man. I'm with you there. If it's something that bothers you, then fucking leave it alone. But people, I swear, half the time people look for things to bitch about. I mean, there are some things out there that are worth it to bring into a spotlight and make a deal out of it. But come on, folks, like seriously, like you said, if it's something like South Park that has the potential to offend people, don't watch it. Turn on Rick and Morty.
But all right, but there's also like bad argumentation for good ideas.
Yeah.
Climate change. This needs to be worked on now.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, like proposal that Greta or whatever, there's this proposal that came out, want people to sign up for it. And I'm like, sorry, that you've lost me here. You've lost me at no mega hydro projects, no nuclear, no carbon capture, no techno fixes. I'm like, pardon? Okay. I'm not saying these are the final solutions, but if you want to go carbon free, nuclear is your only option right now. Like
Pretty much.
okay, and reactors are getting better. I was just reading something again. Obviously, it's just in the research phase. It's working, but they've worked on these things and they're deployed live. Like they've gotten to that point of testing, or whatever. Bill Gates was working on something on that. They're small mobile nuclear reactors, and apparently, like there's there's almost like zero chance of any kind of meltdown. They're not, and these are enough to like power a small city type of thing. Like you don't need. So if you're not going to do that, then your argumentation is going wrong. Like carbon capture, I realize it's not the best way to do it. It's not but when a country like India is planning on bringing electric power by 2050 to everyone in all remote areas, and they're going to do it by burning coal, and you don't have a way to capture that carbon or offer them an alternative, it doesn't matter what Canada does. Canada is responsible for 1.66% of the world's carbon emissions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, again, like bad argument. Yeah, look at her. Look at bad argumentation. I'm not bitching at her. I think it's great that she's passionate. She's getting in. I'm just saying that some of that argumentation is bad. The 5 countries that her and 15 other students are suing are France, Germany, Turkey. Whatever. Sorry, I can't remember them off the top of my head right now. But anyway, the top 3 polluters aren't being sued, right? So India, Pakistan, India, China, and the United States aren't being sued. Why? Because China is says. I mean, and people laugh at Trump because you listen to what China says. And don't get me wrong, I think a 15-year-old or a 16-year-old could outwit Trump, but still, come on. Oh, China said they're going to do better. So yeah, right. So Argentina, Brazil, France, Germany, and Turkey. All right. France is only has half of Canada's carbon emissions. They have 0.83%. Canada's 1.66. France is being sued. France has only got about 7 or 8% of their energy production through fossil fuels. The rest is nuclear and renewable. Germany, which is going full, is trying to go full renewable, is having to buy power from France, and so are a lot of other. Is invested heavily in nuclear. Okay, I mean, it's so like I said, all these things. It's great that she's passionate and whatever, but suing these 5 countries when you don't have the United States, China, and India on it, the top 3, like those 3, I think account for 48%. Like, come on, what are you doing? Let people. And I don't say she can't speak. I don't want. I'm not trying to shut her down or anything like that. I'm just saying this is a bad argument. If you want to combat this, I'm on your side, but let's have some good arguments, right? Yeah. I can't be on the side of a bad argument.
Nope, but I think she made a lot of valid points, though, in her speech as well.
I'm not okay. Like I said, those are great. She's passionate.
Yes, she is.
Great. Let's let's give her support. Let's help her do it. But let's also, get her perspectives to get her educated. I'm not saying that everything I'm saying is 100% right. And I don't know this stuff, right? She probably has read more on some of this stuff than I have, but I'm listening to other scientists. I'm listening to, trying to think of big names like, Brian Cox, Neil deGrasse Tyson, Bill Gates, Elon Musk. These aren't dumb people who are advocating for this as well, right? And I'm trying to educate myself on that. And granted, there's some limits to what I can do, but there's also limits to what she's going to be able to know for herself. She's only, like I said, let's encourage her, but let's show her how to reason out good arguments.
Yeah, she could probably learn that for sure. Yeah. That would be a huge thing for her, right? So,
yeah.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, but I mean, it's also like, okay, this law in Quebec. I'm opposed to the law 21, where the religious symbols aren't allowed being worn. And I'm opposed to it very simply because it's not anything. It has nothing to do with secularism, and has even less to do with laicity. But the people who are opposed to it, for the most part, were screaming like fishwives about how it's racist and it's anti-hijab. I'm like, okay, it's not going to win you anything. Fight it on what it isn't. It's not a bill on secularism. It's not a bill on laicity. No rights were won. Rights were taken away.
Yep.
Argue on those points. Make those arguments. I'm not going to get behind a screaming mob that's saying stupid things. Like, I don't care how much I agree with what they want, but a bad argument is not going to win my approval or my support.
No, no, that's for sure. I mean, bad arguments are bad arguments, and I don't think they should be supported.
Yeah, no, it's the other side too, right? When he first made that law, it's like, okay, we're going to do the secularism bill, and then they said, okay, so you're going to take off the crucifix from the council room, and he said, no, that's part of our history. It's like, well, come on, pal. Like, there's your bad argument. Like, oh, it's not a racist thing. Well, okay, I'm pretty sure it is. I'm pretty sure there's some racism involved in this thing. The way the whole thing,
wearing the jewelry and all that, you mean?
Yeah, well, not even that. I mean, like, okay, no, not the crucifix wearing the jewelry, like all that. But there was a crucifix in the council room that was about like 2 feet long, a foot wide, something like that. And they wanted to leave that in the council room after the secularism bill came out, and they're saying, okay, we can't have any religious symbols in government buildings, and so people can't wear them. So they're like, well, if you're doing that, how can you leave a crucifix in a council room where policy and stuff is discussed? Right? You're supporting one religion. Yeah. If a woman wearing a hijab is the government pushing Islam, then a crucifix in a room where policy is discussed is certainly the government pushing some form of Christianity, and if it's crucifix, Catholicism, right? So, like I said, the whole way that this thing is laid out, I'm not going to argue that there wasn't some racism in there, but that's not why I'm going to argue against it. I'm going to argue against it based on how I see it being against my principles, and that's it.
Well, I'm all for taking the religious symbolism out of government and schools, but if people want to wear their, Star of David or a cross or whatever, or hijab, fuck, let them. Who cares? But that has nothing to do with the government or stuff like that. That's just people being people.
That's just it. I mean, if your argument is that a woman wearing a hijab or a guy wearing a yarmulke or a crucifix or a Star of David or a Sikh turban or whatever, Sikhs also wear those. I mean, you're from Vancouver. Sikhs wear those silver bracelets. They have a religious connotation to them as well. If that's enough to like make you convert to that religion, then I mean, you got other problems besides that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you, like, again, that's you telling me that I'm that weak-willed that I could have turned, like, sorry, but okay, if it's someone like that Kim Davis in the States, she got fired. You fire them. I mean, that's another thing that it's also breaking guilty before, you're innocent until proven guilty. You're seeing someone wear something right away. You're in it. You're guilty of. You're gonna take away my rights because of that. You're gonna treat me horribly. You don't know anything about this person.
It's just fucking true.
Yeah, no, but I mean, like, honestly, you know nothing about this person. Like, okay, maybe the woman wearing the crucifix or the man wearing the crucifix, it belonged to a deceased relative, and they got it as a present. And they're just wearing it as a memorial. They're not even religious. A woman wearing a hijab, it could be a woman who wasn't that religious, got married to someone who became religious or is religious, and she's being forced to wear that. Yep. And then if that job makes her remove it, that job might be with one little bit of freedom she gets, and then you're going to take that away from her because she won't be allowed to work there anymore. And it's like all these little things. Like, one of my friends was like, well, there some of those little kids don't like it when the guys wear those little round hats. I'm like, he's getting at the Muslims not liking Jews. I'm like, yeah, but they also don't like people who are gay. So what? No openly gay teachers can teach them?
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Like, where are we going to stop with this compromise? We have our principles, or we say we do, and let's act on them, or whatever. Let's mob rules, man.
Yeah. Best Sabbath album for the Dio years.
Yeah. I actually saw that tour.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
I saw that, and I saw the like when Ozzy, because Ozzy was also touring around that time with like the Blizzard of Oz, right? So I saw it as well.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Fuck yeah! And then I saw when Ozzy reformed with them in 2000. I saw them here at Thunderbird Stadium.
No, I like around that point, man. Like, he was turning into Mr. Burns, and I just couldn't deal with it.
No, I don't think I've ever heard anyone describe Ozzy that. I met him when I was working at Sam the Record Man.
Cool.
Richmond Center. Well, this guy walks into the store. I'm at the counter and I'm putting fucking labels on shit, price tags, whatever. And this guy walks into the store and he's got this long, greasy blonde hair and this like plaid dressy kind of shirt and these long fucking bell-bottom jeans that are ripped at the bottom. And he starts digging through the bargain basement tapes, like cassettes. I'm like, Steve, keep your eye on that fucking guy. I don't know about him. So he picks out 2 tapes, Archangels and Stevie Nicks' Greatest Hits. And he comes up to the counter, cassettes. And he goes, yeah, I'm going to pay for this with my Visa. And he throws down this fucking Visa and it says Zachary Philip Wilde. And I'm like, wait a minute. Are you Ozzy's guitar player? He's like, yeah. What the fuck are you doing in Richmond? Oh, we're just down at this guy's studio record. This is when they were doing the No More Tears shit, right? And I said, is Ozzy with you? He goes, yeah, he's just having muffins and coffee. And I'm like, okay, Steve, I'm going on break. And I went and had coffee and muffins with Ozzy and Zach. It was great.
Oh, that's cool. Okay. When I say Mr. Burns, so when you watch his reality show, right? Like when it first started, and he's sitting there and he's like screaming for his wife. He's like, Sharon. Everybody will be yelling Smithers, man. The guy's like useless. He couldn't do anything. Like he was like pretty much like
the remote. Yeah. Or clean up the dog shit. That show was great. Man.
But I mean, like I said, like he was just, he reminded me of Mr. Burns. It was just
I've never heard anyone say that before, but I can totally see that. Almost like Burns when he's in that X-Files episode when he's wandering through the forest with the glowy eyes and shit. Yeah. Oh man, that's so funny. That's best. That's the story I'm telling at work tomorrow. That's great. Dude, we're climbing up on the hour. Is there anything that you wanted to mention before we oh shit, that's what I forgot to tell you. Normally after I do the interviews, I do an after party. You're under no obligation to be there, but I'm sure that Wonder Lady will probably want to jump in, that she knows you're here, and a couple other people that might want to say hello. So are you down for maybe another half hour or so?
Yeah, sure, no worries.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, as far as anything else goes, I mean, like I said, I talk about free speech and that's about it. Oh, I shouldn't say that's about it. I talk about stuff that's going on. Like I was speaking to a teacher recently. She started this thing called Clear the Lists.
Oh, what's that?
If you got this thing, if you got some time or whatever, if anyone wants, check out the hashtag on Twitter, Clear the Lists. And it's teachers who are desperate. I mean, they need everything from, they're looking for pencil sharpeners. They're looking for like, the little Velcro things you can put up on bulletin boards and stuff like that, little circles so they can stick stuff on. They want stickers for kids, snacks, like learning toys for, like learning disabled kids or special needs kids. And like I said, pencil sharpeners. They can't get pencil sharpeners in their goddamn classrooms, man. And, these lists are about $100, $200. Most of the stuff on there is about $15. Like I'll go on a couple of days and I'll, buy a couple off a couple of lists and put them on. Like I know a friend of mine did like $7,000 worth of stuff. So yeah, I mean, so I was speaking to her. It's just speaking to this woman, Lenore Skenazy, who started this thing called Let Grow, which is about getting kids independence. And they do little things like with schools where they'll make a project for a week and it's age dependent, right? So if kids are really young, let's say like 6 or 7, they'll make toast on a Saturday morning for breakfast, right? Nothing hard, but the kid helped make breakfast. 11 or 12, go to the corner store, buy a liter of milk and come back. Stuff like that. So I've been speaking with people like that who are trying to get us out of this funk where everything's we're victimized by everything. Everything's out to get us. Everyone's oppressing us. It's just like, let's get some self-confidence. We can do shit. And it's like, so I've been trying to speak to a few people like that. And again, but like I said, the only horse I have in any fight is free speech and enlightenment values. If you're stepping on my toes there, well, then I'm going to say something. Aside from that, really couldn't care less. Yeah, I'm the same way. I believe everyone has the right to voice their opinion, no matter what it is. I always say it's better to have an informed opinion, but totally right. But yeah. And if you piss someone off, be prepared for some backlash. I mean, that's just the way it goes, right? Well, at least that's why I grew up doing it. Okay, but right now it's gotten to the point where it's gotten almost to the point. There's some people who have this condition that they get they feel physical pain in sunlight. It's very, very rare. And the only reason I know about it was there's a South African family living in like terrace because it was so cloudy up there. And they were facing deportation because of something stupid. And they're like, and their kids had this thing. Like Terrace BC? Yeah. And this is going back a while, but I remember because it was so bizarre. innocuous, like it's a nice, bright, sunny day. I'm going to go sit in the park and read my book. And someone's like, "Oh my God, I have this condition. How dare you? That's hate speech." Like it's almost gotten to that point.
Wow.
Like it feels that way sometimes. Like you can't, like the most innocuous thing can have you accused of hate speech recently.
Wow.
And it's just, I don't know why. I mean, I don't know. That's the way I see it online. Like I see people I know just like the most innocent thing, and then they get dogpiled on for saying something very, very innocuous.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm going to a little bit of an extreme, but it's almost got to that point.
Yeah, it seems that way in a lot of cases for sure. My friend Mark Caesar said something that I found quite interesting. Diverse opinions make the world an interesting place, which is true. Echo chambers are boring, and I totally agree with that. And dangerous as well.
No, but that's just it. Like all this diversity, all this everything, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The more we realize that the world is, people are different in the sense that the different sensibilities, the way they grew up, the way they, they understand everything differently.
Mm-hmm.
That means we need to have more open speech, and we need to let people learn how to talk to each other instead of just stop everything down. Anyways, I don't want to take over your channel, man.
No, please do. No, it's been great chatting with you, man. Because
it's been a lot of.
We haven't had a lot of interaction, really, other than I've seen you on a bunch of other things, and I literally almost just started following you, but I've seen you like interact with Wonder Lady and stuff like that. And everyone said, "Oh, you got to get him on." I'm like, "Okay, fuck yeah, I'll get him on. He's Canadian. How can I say no?" Right? He's one of ours.
Actually, it's a drag because I don't know why I haven't put it up yet. When I was living up north, I have this Canadian flag with me, and that flag traveled with me to all over the place. But when I started working overseas, I especially took it. So I had it with me in Bosnia and Afghanistan, Kosovo, Sudan, Haiti. And I don't know why I haven't put it up yet, and I should. But like that flag at one point at the NATO headquarters in Kabul. So the Canadian military has like it's the NSC is like their support element, and at the top of every NSC, each military has kind of like a little clubhouse, and so the Canadian NSC, their flag got hit by lightning and it burnt, and they were waiting for something to come in. So that flag flew on top of the Canadian NSC at NATO headquarters in Kabul for a few weeks. So like I said, I don't know why I haven't put it up in my room yet, but yeah.
Yeah, maybe you should consider doing that right after this, huh?
Yep.
All right. Well, Obaid, man, it's been an absolute pleasure getting to know you.
Yeah, thanks. Same here.
I'm so glad you agreed to come on. You're like, who the fuck is this guy? And I'm just like, hey, come on the show.
Okay, who am I? Like you said, I have like, what?
Oh no,
I have 100 followers on YouTube
there. Well, we'll make sure you get some more guys. Please go and sub to Obaid. I've watched quite a few of his videos there, and there's some really great stuff. And we're already getting kudos in the chat that this was a good chat, which is awesome.
Thanks.
Yeah. And thank you guys for hanging out with us and watching the show and participating with the chat. And Lavender Lady says you're a big sweetie.
Diana's awesome.
Yeah. She'll probably jump in too. So there'll be some folks that you do know. Anyways, guys, like I always say at the end of these things, like the late, great Christopher. Oh, before I do that, let me just once again remind you that if you like what I do, I have links in the chat below, or links in the description box below to my Amazon wish list and my PayPal, because I don't have Patreon yet. I promised myself I wouldn't do Patreon till I hit 1,000, and I'm getting there, but it's still got about 80 something left. And I also have all the links to Obaid's relevant stuff in the description box below: his blog, his Twitter, and his YouTube channel. So go and check him out everywhere. Yeah, Doorknob, I know you never hang out at my after party, so screw you. And I mean that in a nice way. Anyways, like I always say at the end of these things, guys, now that I've done all the shilling, like the late, great Christopher Hitchens once said, it's called faith because it's not knowledge. And we'll see you guys next time.